Previously, in Hero Park. The journey picks up right where we left off, with Rick and Sparrow stepping out of Hero Park and into the harsh reality of the world beyond. The once safe haven is now behind them, and what lies ahead is a treacherous path full of dangers at every turn. The duo begins their trek through the outskirts of Hero Park, heading up a mountain trail where they quickly face the horrors of the infected world. Zombies roam the path, while aggressive wildlife, including bears and mutated beetles, are relentless in their attacks. Rick, armed with his flamethrower and quick thinking, clears the zombies with ease, but things take a darker turn when a beetle mauls Sparrow. As she fights to stay conscious, Rick uses his G3 rifle to protect her and employs a healing diffuser to stabilize her before the next wave of enemies comes. After surviving this attack, they push forward, encountering larger and more dangerous creatures, including giant zombies and boars. They make it to a checkpoint just in time to escape the worst of the chaos. But their troubles don't stop there. Rick and Sparrow soon find themselves at the entrance of a maze, and to their horror, a giant mutated gardener armed with a deadly saw emerges to stop them. In a fierce battle, Rick faces off against the beast, using every tactic and ounce of strength to bring it down. After the gardener falls, they solve the maze and proceed to gather valuable materials from nearby boxes, though the process is interrupted by more zombies, which Rick quickly dispatches. Their journey takes an even more dangerous turn as they reach a vulnerable defensive position where they must reinforce defenses while fending off constant waves of zombies. With Rick clearing the way and Sparrow fortifying their position, they manage to survive the assault before heading to the next checkpoint. The episode concludes with the pair finally reaching the observatory, where they plant a bomb to open a sealed door. Inside, they face the terrifying spore-buzzing infected, a grotesque, mutated giant, and engage in a brutal, drawn-out fight. But as the creature falls, so too does the last vestige of hope for staying in one place. With Hero Park now behind them, Rick and Sparrow prepare for the uncertain future ahead, knowing they can't afford to rest. It's been an episode of constant danger, brutal fights, and hard-won survival. And with the world more dangerous than ever, Rick and Sparrow's journey is just getting started. Rick carefully placing his bicycle onto the cracked, uneven road that cuts through the eerie remains of Liven City. Sparrow sits quietly behind him, her eyes scanning the horizon. She doesn't say a word, her body language speaks volumes, still processing the horrors they've faced and the journey ahead. The silence between them is filled with tension, a shared understanding that they're not just passing through an abandoned city, they're moving deeper into the unknown. The once bustling Liven City now lies in ruins. The streets are eerily empty, save for the occasional dead vehicle, many of them wrecked and overturned. Rusted cars, abandoned trucks, and abandoned buses tell the story of a world that collapsed under the weight of the apocalypse. Some vehicles are crashed into buildings, others lie scattered across intersections, their windows shattered. The rotting husks of once people now shuffle aimlessly around these wrecks, remnants of the city's former life. The air smells faintly of decay and gasoline, and the low hum of distant groans from zombies echoes across the streets. The undead wander the roads in staggering groups, their eyes vacant, their bodies grotesque remnants of their former selves. They pose a constant threat as Rick and Sparrow navigate carefully through the wreckage. Rick's grip tightens on the handlebars as he weaves between the wrecked vehicles, each turn bringing them closer to the heart of the city. Sparrow remains still, her gaze unwavering, only a slight twitch of her fingers betraying the tension she feels. It's a game of timing. If they're spotted by the zombies, there's no telling how fast they'll have to fight or flee. The city, once a place of life, is now a desolate wasteland. Its skyline looms overhead, punctuated by the remnants of shattered glass and broken metal, casting long, foreboding shadows across their path. Rick's destination is clear, the power plant on the outskirts of Liven City. It's their only hope for securing much-needed resources and potentially restoring some form of power to their fractured world. As the duo moves forward, the road is anything but straightforward. Zombies begin to shuffle closer to the path, drawn by the sound of the bike's wheels on the cracked asphalt. The tension builds as Rick accelerates, weaving in and out of the dead vehicles, knowing that every moment spent on the road is a risk, but one they must take. Their journey to the power plant is fraught with danger, but it's a risk they have no choice but to take.
Egret, a member of the Commerce Bureau Guardians. To rebuild Liven City, we must restore its power. The generator is located in the workshop of the power plant. Go to the main building to find the way to the workshop.
Rick and Sparrow arrive at the power plant's parking lot, now overrun with zombies and abandoned vehicles. Rick activates his flamethrower, sweeping flames across the area, incinerating the undead in a blaze of fire. The parking lot quickly clears as zombies are reduced to ash, and Rick, vigilant as ever, ensures no threats remain. Once the area is safe, he leads Sparrow toward the building's entrance. The heavy door creaks open, revealing a dark, dust-filled interior. The hum of the power plant's machinery echoes faintly as the duo steps inside, weapons drawn, ready for whatever dangers lurk within. Their mission is just beginning, and the risks inside are only escalating.
Survivor, you can go to the cooling tower through the back door of the main building.
Inside the power plant, Rick and Sparrow move cautiously through the dimly lit halls toward the machine room. The air is thick with dust, and the faint hum of dormant machinery is a constant reminder of what's at stake. Reaching the control panel, Rick prepares to activate the backup power, but just before he flips the switch, two giant beetles scuttle out from the shadows. Without hesitation, Rick unleashes a burst of fire from his flamethrower. The beetles screech and thrash, but the flames quickly engulf them, reducing the massive creatures to charred remains. The immediate threat neutralized, Rick turns to the backup power switch. He slams it down, and the room comes to life with the sudden whir of machinery. Lights flicker on, casting long shadows across the room. But the noise draws the attention of nearby zombies, who shuffle toward them with groans of hunger. Rick doesn't hesitate. He ignites the flamethrower once more, clearing the room as the flames roar to life. Zombies are swiftly burned to ash, their bodies falling to the ground as the plant systems power up. The immediate danger is gone, but the silence that follows is a chilling reminder: this place is far from safe. With the power back on, Rick and Sparrow are one step closer to their goal, but they know this fight is far from over. The plant is alive with dangers, and they're not alone.
The cooling tower has been turned on. The cooling tower valve must be turned off before you can pass through. The valve is just below the cooling tower. Watch out. It's guarded by a huge infected mutant.
The space is vast, filled with towering machinery and shadowy corners. The faint sound of shuffling zombies echoes, followed by the rustling of mutated creatures. Without warning, 5 zombies stagger into view. Rick quickly raises his flamethrower, clearing them out in a fiery sweep. Their bodies turn to ash as he moves forward, but they're just the beginning. Suddenly, 12 hulking giant zombies emerge from behind the machinery, their grotesque forms lumbering toward them. Rick's heart races, but he's not afraid. He charges forward, flames engulfing the first wave of giants as they stagger back in pain, falling to the ground. But there are more, and the battle is far from over. As Rick clears the giants, the air is filled with the screeching of attacking birds, mutated crows, their beady eyes filled with hunger. Rick spins, raising his flamethrower once more, torching the birds mid-air, their charred bodies falling to the ground in a heap. No sooner does he deal with the birds than the ground shakes beneath them. More mutated beetles swarm from the corners, their massive bodies charging forward. With a growl, Rick releases a blast of fire, incinerating the beetles before they can reach them. As the chaos subsides, a deep growl erupts from behind them. The strong man infected, the giant man, lumbers into view, his massive frame blocking their path. His skin is grotesquely stretched, with patches of spore-like growths on his body. Rick grits his teeth. This is no ordinary enemy. The giant man charges, but Rick stands firm, unleashing everything he's got. But it's a struggle. The infected giant roars, swiping at Rick with terrifying strength. However, after an intense battle, Rick's persistence pays off. The creature falls to the ground. Finally, with the immediate threat vanquished, Rick makes his way to the cooling tower controls. With a swift motion, he activates the cooling tower system, causing a loud hum as the facility's temperature regulation powers up. The sound of machinery whirring fills the room as the plant comes back to life, though Rick knows this is only the calm before the next storm. As the cooling systems kick in, Rick and Sparrow prepare to move deeper into the plant, knowing that more dangers lie ahead. The path to safety is long, and they've only just begun to face what the power plant has in store. After activating the cooling tower's systems, the hum of machinery fills the air, signaling the plant's revival. Rick and Sparrow know this is just one piece of the puzzle. The next step takes them up to the top of the towering structure. They approach a long, rusted ladder attached to the side of the cooling tower. The climb is daunting, but with no other options, Rick begins his ascent, gripping each rung tightly. Sparrow follows closely behind, both of them moving swiftly but cautiously, aware of the instability of the old ladder. The wind howls around them as they climb higher, the view becoming more intimidating with each step. Once they reach the top of the first cooling tower, the full scale of the power plant becomes clear. The entire facility sprawls out beneath them like a mechanical wasteland. In the distance, they can see the second cooling tower, connected to the first by a narrow metal bridge. Rick peers across the bridge, eyeing the dangerous gap between the towers. There's no turning back now. He moves across the bridge, his footsteps heavy against the metal as it creaks beneath him. Sparrow follows, but the tension is clear in her every movement. The bridge sways with the wind, and below them, the ground seems impossibly far away. The only way is forward. Upon reaching the other side, Rick scans the area. The second cooling tower looms above them. But their goal isn't to stay here, it's to escape. Without hesitation, Rick looks down at the ground far below. There's no time to waste. With one final look at Sparrow, he makes the decision. Rick takes a running leap off the edge of the second cooling tower, the wind rushing past him as he hurtles toward the ground. His heart races as he lands hard on the ground below, the impact rattling his bones but leaving him standing. He shakes off the pain, his body aching, but determined to keep moving. Sparrow soon follows, carefully navigating her descent before landing beside him. The plant may be alive with danger, but they've made it through another obstacle.
Good to finally meet you, survivor. The storage area is right up ahead. It's crawling with infected. You'll need to use infected bait to make it easier to get through. The workshop can be reached through the storage area. Use bait and locate the key in a box in the storage area.
Rick and Sparrow enter the workshop, the heavy metal door groaning as it swings open. Inside, the place is dark and cluttered with old tools, rusted machines, and piles of scrap metal. The faint hum of the power plant systems can be heard in the distance, but the workshop itself feels abandoned, until a sharp, unnatural sound echoes from the shadows. Out of nowhere, a blade limb infected lunges at them from the darkness. Its grotesque, mutated form is covered in sharp, jagged blades that extend from its limbs like deadly, razor-sharp appendages. The creature snarls, its eyes wild with hunger, and it charges at Rick with inhuman speed, slashing its blades through the air. Rick doesn't flinch. He's been through worse. With quick reflexes, he pulls out his G3 rifle, aiming at the approaching monster. The blade limb infected's blades scrape against the metal floor as it closes in, but Rick's aim is true. He fires a series of quick shots, each one striking the creature's vulnerable spots. It howls in pain, but it's relentless, continuing to swipe its blades through the air, narrowly missing Rick. Rick ducks and rolls to the side, using the workshop's scattered equipment as cover. The blade limb infected is fast and unpredictable, its movements a blur of slashing blades. But Rick keeps his cool, carefully timing his shots. Another burst from the G3 rifle strikes the creature's leg, causing it to stagger. The blade limb infected roars in frustration, but Rick isn't giving it a chance. He charges forward, firing another round that pierces through its chest, dropping it to the ground in a heap of twitching limbs. The workshop falls silent. Rick stands over the fallen creature, panting heavily from the intense battle. Sparrow looks on, her expression serious but relieved. They've faced their fair share of threats, but the blade limb infected was one of the more dangerous foes they've encountered. With the immediate danger gone, Rick moves toward the control panel in the workshop. He activates the system, and with a loud whir, the power to Liven City begins to flow. The lights flicker on, and the hum of electricity fills the air as the city's grid comes back to life. Liven City is online, Rick says, his voice steady. We've done it. But even with the power restored, they know the work isn't over. The power plant may be operational, but there are still countless dangers ahead. They move forward, ready to face whatever comes next in their fight for survival.